Stop me if this sounds familiar. You have something in your life, a hobby perhaps, like sewing or embroidery or making YouTube videos, something that you really, really want to do and you want to be so good at it. You look at all the professionals doing it and all you can think is, I want to be one of them. I want to be as talented as they are. And so you decide you are going to embark on the journey and you're going to be just like them. Well, first, before you start, you have to know how to start, obviously. You go on YouTube and you search a tutorial, how to sew. Sewing for beginners, 10 things you need to know about sewing, common sewing mistakes beginners make, and you watch all of these videos and you realize, wow, there is actually a ton you don't know. First off, there were different types of sewers and you now have to choose which type of sewer you're going to be. And obviously you can't just pick one, you have to pick the most efficient one, the best one. So you research all the different types of sewers and you realize you want to be a hand sewer. You want to sew everything by hand like the good old days, and that's the type of person you want to be. But oh wait, first, you need to figure out exactly all the supplies that you need. 10 best supplies for hand sewers. Okay, so now you know exactly what sewing is about. You know the types of sewers. You know which one you want to be. You know the supplies you need. You know which brand of supplies that you need. And now you just have to look at the prices and figure out where the best deals are. And obviously, like the color palette and the aesthetic, and oh, it's been a week. And you don't really feel like sewing anymore. So then you wait a month or two and then you finally feel like sewing again. And you think, oh great, I researched all the things beforehand, so I should have an easy time starting. But then you realize you forgot half of the stuff. Well, it's okay, I'll just watch some refresher videos. And then you watch some videos about different types of sewers and different types of techniques, and then you find some other information. And now there's new information, now there's new videos, new knowledge. Oh, and there's a new tutorial, and maybe you should look at fabric patterns. Maybe you should look at this new company that just started. And it's been another week. And your passion for sewing wanes a bit. And this happens repeatedly, forever. You're basically like Sisyphus if instead of rolling the boulder up the hill, Sisyphus just stood there and said, well, I can't start rolling the boulder up the hill until I have the exact perfect way to roll the boulder up the hill. And Sisyphus stands there planning for the entire day. And then he goes to bed, and then he wakes up and thinks, well, what if there's a different way, a better way, the right way to push this boulder up a hill? And so he spends another day planning. And then the next day he might have forgotten a couple things here or there, so he starts over again, and again, and again, and again. That is more torturous than pushing that boulder up the hill. In the original story of Sisyphus, he actually managed to accomplish something, which was the boulder went up the hill. But in this version, Sisyphus merely feels like he's making progress. All the while, the boulder remains there, untouched, for eternity. And that is essentially what you and I are doing. By always relegating our hobbies, our passions to a limbo state until we have figured out every single detail, we let our hobbies and our passions die a slow, torturous death that we do not even realize. Because when you're making those plans, when you're researching all these things, researching by watching a million YouTube videos, you feel like you're making progress. No, I know all the things I could know about this hobby. Isn't that progress? I mean, I might not know how to do it, but if I were to do it, I would know the exact way to do it. Except you haven't started. Now I know why I and other people tend to do this destructive habit, and that is because it feels good to plan. It feels like you've accomplished something, that you've done something by planning. You get this feeling of accomplishment, because in your head you've done steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you've reached the level that you wanted to be at. Meanwhile, if you actually manage to practice and try the thing that you have no experience at, you realize pretty quickly that the steps aren't simple and easy. They don't form a straight path towards success. In fact, you look at the masters in their crafts and you see how beautiful their ceramics are, you see how amazing their gardens are, you see how beautiful their garments are, how clean their stitches are, and you look at your mess of clay, you look at your misshapen fabric piece, you look at your weird looking cabbage, and you realize you are nowhere near that level, and that is disappointing. But when you plan, your mind doesn't disappoint you. But you already knew this, didn't you? In fact, I am betting that your For You page is filled with dozens of videos saying the same thing, that practice makes perfect and there's no good time to start. Start now, do it now, regret it later. And yet you are here watching another video. I would argue that this is also a form of self-procrastination, of self-soothing to arm against the disappointment you'll feel if you were to actually start. Both planning procrastination and this are different sides of the same coin. On one hand, you have procrastination planning where you feel accomplished by just planning and not practicing, and on the other side, you have content that tells you that you should be practicing and you feel accomplished because you know now that that is what you're supposed to do. And you feel guilty, yes, but you also feel like you've made improvements because you feel guilty, because you know what you're doing wrong. Except that without action is the same thing that you were doing before. I am as guilty of this as anyone else. I have wanted to start a YouTube channel and to make YouTube videos for nearly a decade now, and I'm just starting, even while saying continuously for 2 years that I'm going to start. I watched the birth of GT Live and film theory, had the ambitions to start all the way back then, and yet MatPat has retired and I still have not made my way onto YouTube. I've learned all these editing techniques and all the things that I need to know about creating the perfect thumbnail and how to get retention and all the things that I know I need to do to make a good YouTube video without producing a single one. Escaping this cycle feels daunting, to say the least, and I'm not sure if I am fully through this as well, because one good day of me putting out a video doesn't translate to me actually consistently putting in that practice. But one thing that I have found helps is to sit in the discomfort, to turn off all of your electronics, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it may be, your laptop, your everything, and just sit there and realize that you are not where you want to be. That discomfort hurts. It really does. It feels like a tightness around your chest. The YouTube videos that we watch about the subject that we're interested in, all the tutorials, all the blogs that we read about it, those do nothing but put salve on a wound that is growing bigger day by day. Because you know that you are not where you are meant to be. You are not doing the things that you are meant to do, that you want to do, that you feel an innate desire to do. You're not following that desire. You're not doing what your body wants. You're not doing what your mind wants. Instead, you're providing it with supplemental value from watching other people do the thing that you want to do. But it doesn't change that desire within you to do it. So instead of trying to soothe it in ways that aren't doing the actual thing, why not sit with the discomfort of knowing that you aren't doing that and see where that takes you? And hey, if you somehow managed to find this video, the stars must have aligned because that never happens with first videos. So that means you should probably subscribe. Anyways, I'll see you. Oh, also, I should probably introduce myself. I'm Subi.